Welcome back, everyone. I'm Kris, and I'm your Cardvoyant, and I'm here today with another video about energy numbers, what we're calling energy numbers, what a lot of people think of as angel numbers. And today we're going to talk about um, the number 3. If you're seeing repeating threes, we may talk about fours. I'll see what the cards have to say. But yes, number 3. Now we talked a lot in the last video about sort of ones and twos, so I thought it would be good to kind of move on to the number 3. Just very briefly, I wanted to say thank you for being patient for this video. It took me a little bit longer than I thought because I was catching up on all of the readings that I sort of had put off because of stuff that was everything that had been going on. But I am completely caught up now. So I've like opened up readings again, and I have an opportunity to do this. And I've been thinking about it a lot. Some things have come up in readings about numbers. Some things have come up in meditation about numbers. So I'll share that as we go along with reading. As you know, I shuffle the cards for a really long time, so that's what I'm going to do now. I'm using my regular Rider-Waite deck. I have another deck that I kind of feel like in some ways I'd like to use, but I know that many people who watch the channel are tarot learners, and this is like the best deck, in my opinion, to learn from. So I am going to use the Rider-Waite deck, so it's familiar, and hopefully that's helpful if you're like playing along with the home version. So I hope that's helpful to you. I am going to cut out, of course, some of the shuffling because I do it for a long time, but what I will be asking while I'm shuffling is what is it we need to know? What would be helpful for us to know? What do we need to know about threes and maybe fours in these energy numbers and anything else about energy numbers in general? Because this is I feel like it's a very intricate topic, and yet, it's a very broad topic that we're sort of just being introduced to. And for the purposes of this channel and for most people, I think that's going to be enough. So we'll talk about our understanding of why we receive these repeating numbers, what we can sort of do with them in our lives, and what they mean. So with that, let's get started. All right. So this is a really interesting set of cards, really interesting. I never like expect to see certain cards, but when you do see certain cards, sometimes it's a little bit surprising, but very interesting. And I really think that obviously appropriate. So I've got 5 cards here, and I had this feeling, which is how I work with cards. I just get a feeling for how many cards to lay down. So I thought right away that I would have this row of 4 cards, but then I got the impression that should have this one card on top. It's not so much an explanation of like threes that we're talking about. I'm not sure if we'll talk about fours yet. We'll see. But it's not so much pertaining to the particular number, because we're sort of delving into that idea of specific numbers and what they mean in these repeating numbers, these energy numbers. but it does, we had this in the first reading. It does talk about why we received them, and that's one of the things I asked. So it's fantastic that we're getting this. So this Ten of Swords, I mean, again, it's such a card of pain, grief, despair, that feeling of how do I go on? Why do I go on? Those kinds of things. Like there's so much that has happened to this person. Obviously, he's got 10 swords in his back. He's laying here, he's bleeding, although not like in a pool of blood, right? There's just evidence of the wound in this small amount of blood here. But he's not dead. He's not. And he's facing, not only is he facing the water, which we know in tarot always talks about the eternal, the psychic, the intuitive, our connection to the non-physical world, our connection to our own higher selves and our guides. Water is very clearly speaking about that in a number of our tarot cards. The mountains in the background that talk about, again, not a difficult journey, not I've got this mountain to climb, not that. It talks about rising to a higher place, right? And how we get to that higher place, what causes us to rise to that higher place. And also in this card, though these dark clouds loom overhead, just like the swords that are so, present in that moment, they are there in the imagery, but the most important thing is the sunrise, right? That's connected to both the mountains and the water. So it's really a card of understanding. And what I mean by that is that our guides, the universe, the source, God, if you want to think of it in that way, is aware of our pain, of our struggles, of our overall how difficult life is, because physical life is difficult. We chose to come here knowing how difficult it was going to be, but when we're here, when we're in the physical, it's real. It's no longer speculation or even remembrance of past lifetimes. It becomes very real again. If you've ever had a pain, like physical pain, like childbirth or something like that, a kidney stone, something where there's like intense pain, you could remember that you were in pain, but the way that it actually felt, you don't truly remember until you're back in that physical situation. And that's how it is for us. But they understand this, right? Our guides understand this. The universe understands this. Certainly our higher selves understand this. So what they're talking about in this card for us is the reason, then that's what we asked about, the reason that we get these energy numbers, the reason they come into our lives, right? They understand the things that we're going through, and they send us these messages. This is just one form of communication that they use to let us know that they're there, right? This is the overall message here, the overall idea that we are receiving messages because they want to help, because they know that we need assurance and comfort and guidance, and they're there for that, right? They're not there to live our lives for us. It's always a little difficult for me when somebody in a reading asks a really specific, what should I or shouldn't I do? Not that I won't do those questions, of course not. I'll always take on those questions, but so often their guides will ask in a way that prompts them to understand what they want to do or what they need to do, because what they want to do for their own happiness, I should say, because this is very much about us living our own lives, right? And they're just guiding us, helping us, comforting us, acknowledging us, right? And that's what these this card is saying that's what these energy numbers, these angel numbers, if you would like to refer to them that way, that's what they're about. So let's talk specifically about threes. And interestingly, we get 2 3 cards, the Three of Swords and the Three of Pentacles. These are like so appropriate. Now, Swords card, just like in the number 10 card here, Swords cards are all about our thinking minds. They're about the way our brain works, right? They're about how we process information. They're about our thinking process. That would include things like our worries, our speculation, even our planning, right? This is very much our physical mind. When they're pointed down like this, and you can see in this 3, which is a challenging card, no doubt. But in the 3 and also in the 10, these cards are down, right? They're pointed down to the earth, which is interesting because the next card, the Three of Pentacles, is an earth card. Pentacles cards are very physical cards. They often they look like coins, they speak about money, they'll talk about property. So often when people, have a question about, should I buy this or should I do this? You'll get a pentacle card in response. So this Three of Pentacles in combination with the Three of Swords. Here you can see that here's these 3 people and they're building something. What they're building here is a church, and you've got the actual builder, you've got the architect, the designer, and you've got this monk who for whom the church is being built, right? Or for his desires and needs. In this instance, consider all 3 of these figures as ourselves, right? This is all part of us in the physical realm. We have these desires, like the monk, to create something, to build something, to achieve something, to leave something behind, right? To help. We have all of these desires, right? We also have our plans. How are we going to do this? Our goals, our dreams, right? And we sort of lay them out there into the world in different ways, sometimes in very concrete ways. We write down plans, or we have goals, or I'm going to college now. That's a plan. I'm going to finish school. And then we have the actual doing, which would be like the implementation of that plan of going to college or studying something or buying something or traveling a certain road or a certain way, right? So all of these encompass physical life. And that is in combination with this Three of Swords energy of how we think of that, right? Now, the Three of Swords obviously is often a pain of heartache, literally, of grief, of confusion. Keeps coming up, that word, confusion, pain. And they're exemplified in these threes because, ace cards are very much, and we have one coming up, beginnings cards. And twos are often they're beginnings cards as well, but they often speak about decisions that have to be made or plans, those kinds of threes. And then you get to those kinds of things. Then you get to the threes. And here we have this sort of acknowledgement of the things that happen in physical life, the pain and the need for planning. So it's kind of like the pain and the work, right? That need to go into our moving forward. So sometimes when I pause, it's because I'm asking a question or because I'm trying to clarify something that I'm like seeing or receiving. And what I'm asking now is, do I talk about the next cards or should I talk about the actual numbers that you're seeing? We need to talk about all the cards they say before we talk about what threes and repeating number threes may mean to you or to all of us. So we do have this lovely ace card, and really you can't get sort of more moving and more comforting than the Ace of Cups, because Cups cards are about love, they're about connection, they're about communication. Um, they're the feelings cards. And here you have this cup in the form that all these ace cards come in with, which is a hound and a cloud bearing the gift of that suit of cards. And here we have the gift of this love, this connection, this communication, these feelings, but these beautiful, positive feelings. It's literally my cup runneth over here. And even though we're talking about physical life, because these cards, tarot cards, are meant to help us through physical life, you see all the water here. And we just discussed what water means in tarot. And here is this gift, right, of this connection. And our feelings connect us not only to our physical lives, but most especially to our non-physical life and our guides, right? We emote and we receive back from our higher selves, from the universe, from our physical selves, where we're understanding ourselves, what we're feeling, what we need, right? You've got this beautiful dove here, this dove of love and peace and sharing. A lot of other symbology here, talking about earth life very much in connection with the non-physical world. Finally, our final card in this row, this one row that we have, is the Judgment card, which is very interesting to me. You know, this is almost the final card in the Major Arcana, and this is a Major Arcana card. So it's talking about these big umbrella issues, lifetime issues. This, you know, sometimes they're just the whole of a situation, the whole of a lifetime, the whole of an individual personality, right? Situation. Now, that's very much what this is about. Now, the final card of the Major Arcana is the World card, and this is the stepping stone to it, which is that all-encompassing understanding World card. But first, we have to kind of go through this Judgment card, and this Judgment card is all about, I mean, it has very much this sort of resurrection, obviously, imagery on it. But, you know, resurrection is about the idea of beginning again, or beginning anew, or being cleansed in a way that allows you to see things differently, to experience the world differently, to experience yourself differently. And that's what it's talking about here. And you even have this lovely sort of angel Gabriel feeling in the angel imagery here. And, you know, for many people who were raised religiously or who are still very involved in religion, this kind of imagery is very uh, comforting. It also evokes certain feelings of this sort of angelic protection, this godlike understanding of what we need, and this godlike feeling of bringing us to something. And this really is what is happening in this card, or what this card is talking about, because it is this idea of needing, see all the water again in this card, but is this idea of needing to understand something, to go through something, to experience something, to accept something, to realize something before we are better connected to the non-physical world. And of course, once again, these mountains in the background. Captain White this time, and White in tarot, and there's a lot of it in this card, talks about purity and pure intention, right? And these mountains are these higher place to which these people are rising is capped in this white of pure intention and purity in general. And things that come from the non-physical world are pure. And when we accept them in that way and try to utilize them in that way, that is when they have the greatest power, sort of an exponential benefit to us and to our life, and by extension to our families, our communities, our countries, the planet, the world. So let's talk about why you are seeing. Now we're finally getting to that part that you came to. Um, let's talk about threes and what they mean. Now, we get repeating numbers just in general to acknowledge things that we're going through, to help us, to guide the direction of our thought, to intercede in our thoughts when we are worried, or sometimes, you know, how we spiral in our thoughts, like we keep going over and over and over again the same things. They intercede and they break that up. They're meant as comfort and guidance from a place of love, and in a way that is immediate, sort of easy. Um, they say that like numbers are everywhere and in everything. And if you look around you, everything physical, they say, can be broken down to numbers or understood numerically. This is really interesting to me because, again, I'm not a numbers person. I'm totally like right brained and I struggle with things like that. But I can see it. Even I can see it, you know, that the ways in which this sort of geometry constructs our physical world, our very being. They say that you can see this in the way down to the most like infinitesimal level. You'll see the same kind of numerical operations um, structuring everything. So it's not only because what they say is, even though, you know, we're saying, oh, I see 333 on the clock, it speaks to us. I was going to say subconscious, but they say no, like our soul selves on a level of understanding that we may not even, we most likely don't like realize, but it sort of cuts to the core, right? Because we understand inherently our relationship to numbers and the way numbers relate to our lives, to nature, to all physical structures, and indeed the structure of the universe. This is interesting because they say something about, I'll try and clarify, but I'll just say what I got initially. They say that when we say, and I say this often, that the universe is made up of love, the universe is love. Love is the force that is source and the universe. But they're saying that like numbers are love. Numbers, okay, so everything is kind of symbolic. Everything. This table is symbolic, right? It's something that we sort of decide or place here, right, in the physical. And they're saying because that of that truth, that numbers and this geometric design and patterns are a manifestation of love, a physical manifestation of love. They want us to understand that because whenever we receive these numbers, see these numbers, and they say that, you know, we don't just see them. We may feel them, we may touch them, they may, you know, manifest in different ways. Like we're talking about threes, and it may be that different things are grouped in threes, right? You'll hear three songs in a row that are important to you. You'll go to a restaurant and this food that you're getting is oddly arranged in threes, you know. This happens all the time. So when you begin seeing repeating numbers, they say pay attention to everything. physical, because it's more than just that. So threes in particular, let's talk about threes. Now, I got this several times this week in readings. I finally caught up on my readings, so I'm all caught up in readings if you're interested in that. But I got this several times, kind of like in meditations and in a couple of readings. But we talked about this in the original video about energy numbers, about turning twos so they face each other. And they say this again with threes, in particular with threes, because if you put two threes together, it makes eight. Now, I will do it. I'll definitely do an eight video, but eights are important because they are, you know how the infinity symbol looks like an eight on its side? What they're saying is the idea of eights is the idea of eternity. I mean, it speaks to that, right? It reminds us of that. They say like so many numbers sort of evolve into eights or talk about eights. And there's something about the structure of the universe, our lives, the patterns of our lives, that has to do with eight. It's very much sort of the cradle of physical life. This has been recognized almost throughout time, like throughout time, they say. I say almost throughout time. I always try and qualify things, and sometimes they correct me. This has been recognized throughout time and kind of relied upon in different ways. These using eight in some ways. As I said before, this is like scratching the surface, talking about angel numbers or energy numbers. It's scratching the surface of numerical ideas and how they relate to us and to our physical lives and to like the universe. They're saying something that I will say to you. I know part of this is for me because they're talking about the energy of the earth that has to do with numerical and in particular eight energy as well. But eights, again, they use the word cradle us. When we see these threes, and we often see them in threes, 333, right? It's like a double three. Or we'll see, like I said, like three songs, but maybe they have to do with threes. Look at these two cards. We've got three cards here, right? These threes together, put together, that create this eight. You can see just two threes, and you may see them in combination, like 3344 or 233 or 433 or 533. Those combinations have meanings in themselves, but they say, like, for the purpose of this understanding of threes, understand that those two threes, again, they're taking you to eight, which is eternal, which is the non-physical, which is this cradle of love and protection and comfort. This is your guide speaking to you directly, saying, we are here. An invitation, opening a door, if you will, for you to step through. What do you do with this kind of information? Look around you when you receive this number. Is there something that's going on? Have you been thinking about something? Is there some like mild worry in the back of your very sword-like mind? Like, what is going on in your world that you can use this comfort or like need to speak to? And that can mean your guides, that can mean somebody that you're missing. We often see threes, I should say, in times of grief and loss and pain. And that doesn't necessarily mean a death in the family, although it definitely could. It can also mean the death or loss of a relationship, or even something very physical, a home, a job, an opportunity, right? Something you thought you were going to be able to do, and suddenly it's delayed or it comes crashing down, and you're really in a state of grief, right? And pain, and questioning, like, why, and why me, you know? Why do I have to go through this? This is a continual theme in our lives, this roller coaster of going through, very good times and then very difficult times. But you see, they say how each time you meet something like this, you rise to a different level of understanding, a different and broader ability to love, if you will take it. Because some people, of course, shut down, unfortunately, and they aren't able to sort of rise to meet the challenges, which, the non-physical world also understands. There isn't judgment. There's just a desire to help you to get to that higher place. I mean, that's why we're here. And many of the challenges we encounter, if not most of the challenges that we encounter, are things that we set up ourselves because we knew they were situations from which we could grow and learn. And that is the purpose of our lives. And that is the purpose of the universe: expansion, growth, right? And we do that. When we grow, we add to the growth of the universe. It's a beautiful sort of symmetry. And there's reciprocity in that as well, because when we do sort of make it through, and often we do have to rely on our guides, our higher selves, our faith in those things, in the universe, and in the faith of a better day. When we do that, we rise to a new level of, as I said, growth, understanding, love, our ability to help others, our ability to share with others, our ability to meet the next, like, low point on the roller coaster, right? And get through it. So they use these numbers as a reminder that they're there. They use them as a way to comfort and guide us. So I did say, look around, see what's going on in your immediate vicinity and in your mind when you receive these numbers. If you are seeing them again and again and again and again, it's often like a call to action. Like you need to do something to sort of get to that next level. Or sometimes it's, I wouldn't call it a warning, but it's more of an acknowledgement of what you're going through. 33333, where you're building, where there may be heartache, where you need to remember this 8, and that there is an eternal message. There is more than just this physical life, and it's all connected, right? So that's where faith comes in, understanding that and trusting not only that there's a reason for everything that's happening, but that it is meant as loving help that takes us to a higher place, that enhances our abilities, that is the reason that we're here in the physical world. I'm asking for any other thing about threes that would help us, be helpful to know, good to know, that we need to know. They want to know that threes in particular acknowledge your, again, your grief and your pain. So what they're saying is threes in particular can acknowledge this sort of grief, this pain, this difficulty, this confusion. And when you group them together, when you see them together, they're reminding you of putting the 1 3 together with the other 3, like facing each other, to create this 8 figure, right? So they're reminding us with these 3 threes that there is an eternal message that there is an eternal plan, that there is more, so much more to physical life, and we're connected to it, right? And they understand, just like this very top card, they understand the difficulty, the pain, the grief, the sorrow, the confusion, the anger sometimes, right? They get that, but they want you to know that they are there for you, that comfort is there for you, that there you will understand the things that this period of time in your life brings you to, right? As you emerge from it. And that while there is no judgment about how you handle things, they want to help you to sort of get through things and handle things. And there is, when you do that, to whatever degree, there is this feeling of like pat on the back, like a loving embrace, like we're proud of you, like we knew you could do this, we knew you could do this, right? And that's what they're saying with these threes. It's an acknowledgement and a helpful way to help hopefully remind you of this sort of um, the way that this period of time is connected to the eternal, and that there's more, so much more than the confusion, the pain, the difficulty, the trauma of this moment. They're there for you. They'll help you get through in any way that you ask them to, right? This has to come from you. This has to come from your higher self too. They're not going to interfere in lives when we have free will, right? So we need to ask, and we're asking for guidance, doors to be opened, inspiration, strength, courage, all of those things. It's not always helpful to ask them to like fix it, right? Just make this better. Obviously, that's not why we're here. That's not how we get to this mountains in the judgment card, this beautiful pure intent and mountain, not how we get to the sunrise of a new day, as in the 10 of Swords card. They say that to look at the eight and sort of this ways, they say even draw it like on paper, like two threes facing each other, and think about the ways that this symbolizes just looking for the way that we write eights and sort of the Western world. What it they're okay, so they're saying look at it, concentrate on it, and feel and understand how it's meant to symbolize and look like a loving embrace, the bringing together of two sides, the joining of the physical and the non-physical. And again, there's more to the number eight, much more, that has to do with the very building blocks and essence of the universe that is sort of like mathematically understandable, which is why it's been such a center point um, throughout mankind's history, thinking about this number. So threes, the joining of this sort of understanding of how your mind works, how physical life works, and the eternal help and blessings that we can receive, right? But especially remember their connections to eights, to thoughtfully try to understand what a three is meaning at your particular time that you're seeing them in your life. Always, if you can remember to, thank your guides for sending them to you, because they'll send more thoughts, symbols, comfort that you can feel, that you recognize when they understand that you are getting it, right? It's like, this is a way that they understand. Recognize the threes that aren't just in number form. Groups of threes, a group that is three, right? Those are also sent to you, and sort of notice sometimes what those are, you know, what they mean to you, if it's like songs or food or other objects, right? This is a broad understanding. It really is up to us individually to try and decipher what these may mean in our individual lives at a specific time. You know, remember that these are tools, because just as tarot is a tool, because you know we aren't just like dialing up, or dialing, I sound really old. We aren't just picking up our iPhones and calling the non-physical world. I mean, we're very much supported while we're here, but we're here in physical life to learn individual things. So again, they won't be interfered with. They will be. We won't be interfered with, but we will be helped so much along the way, comforted so much, guided so much, right? So it's up to us to sort of understand the ways in which our particular guides, the spirits who surround us and love us, who we may or may not have known in this physical life, but we certainly know in our soul lives, who are with us and help us and guide us as well. So it's, you know, incumbent upon us to, when we recognize these things happening, to study them, to figure it out, to take some time to even meditate on it um, if you are comfortable doing that. It is a really great way to connect, of course. Um, so there you have it. That is what they have given me in this reading. And for the number three, we can talk more about it, and more about numbers. I love to explore this kind of stuff. I'll do another video very soon about fours. We'll just go down the line and see what they have to say to us about each number, because they are different. I know already that fours are going to talk about eights as well too. They're saying that the numbers lead us to eight almost always, because of the messages of eight. I'll talk more about that in my next video, because I do have some information about eights that I will share. So until then, I will say once again, if you are interested, I'm going to be coming up with sort of like a different set of videos about something that I am undertaking in my life, a new adventure, and I will definitely let you in on it, because I'm doing it not just for myself. But until then, I will just say, please be kind to yourself. Please be kind to others. And until next time, bye for now.